the guy that brought them all in, right? Like,
is not a guy in the league anymore.
No, he doesn't. He has not worked in the league since, and I can't imagine he ever would again. But Murray built a core group of players that were going to win Stanley Cups if you had just put the right pieces around them. But he thought that Rasmus Ristolainen, Zach Bogosian, and Josh Georges were the pieces on the blue line to do that with. Right? Those are the guys.
Yeah.
Those are the guys that played 20-plus minutes a night, and your goalies got hurt, and you made poor decisions with coach. So I think Botterill did it worse, but, these guys are surrounded by really good teams that allow them to be stars. That goal, Reinhart scores that first goal. I don't think he needed a teammate for that one. He could have gone.
That was pretty nice.
That was just himself stealing the puck, going around guys. Like, that's just a great individual effort. But, he's on a team that allows him to get to this moment. And the Sabres just didn't even come close. I tweeted this out last night. The 2016-17 Buffalo Sabres finished with 78 points, and they have combined 11 Stanley Cup rings since they left.
It's a lot.
11.
How many of
I'm
those
double counting. Some
Florida?
of those are Rodriguez, and last night I'm giving them 3 because Reinhart, Rodriguez, and Kulikov are all on that team.
But Kulikov is maybe a stretch. Montour's on the team last year, not this year, right?
Right. Yeah, he's not on this year, but.
Well, anyway, like I said, what's to be said that hasn't been said? It feels like in the moment of a game like last night, Reinhart scored a beautiful goal, one off his foot, and 2 empty netters. So there are 4-goal performances, and then there are 4-goal performances. But what's to be said? Because if you went to bed and, you don't really care, that's fine. If you watched, maybe you're someone that likes to do this where the game ends or Reinhart scores his 4th, and you're like, man, I'm going to see who makes the absolute most devastating comment on Twitter about this. Who's going to win Twitter? Mm-hmm. That's what a moment like last night is. Which Sabres tweeter, content creator, who's going to win Twitter tonight? And there are a couple that I enjoyed. There's rehashing the Reinhart trade, and did they get enough? Because they got a first and a prospect. Mm-hmm. That's Yuri Kulik and Devin Levi. There's Eichel and Reinhart on the bike. There's, I don't know. Like, who, I don't know. Maybe we should award this. Who won last night? Who won Twitter last night as a Sabres content creator that sees the moment? I used to definitely be someone that did this all the time. What's to be said that's not been said about this situation? About where they are? About where they are, and more importantly, where they were. Well,
right, because this is more of like a hypothetical, like a what-if game that it's probably not that realistic. But last night I was thinking a lot about, in the past it's been more like what I just kind of went through, like how those teams were so bad, what was around them, whatever. Yesterday was more for me, man, can you imagine what if they had somehow been able to hold it together for just a couple more years? What if they were able to keep those guys together for a couple more years and everything else is the same?
Would they have kind of grown up 1 year, 2 years later?
Yeah, because they're in their supporting cast, did it not show up right after they left? The supporting cast, Eichel and Reinhart specifically, the supporting cast that they needed around them to win, 2 years later, it was almost in the playoffs without them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have Tuck if you do that, right? But isn't that the only key piece you don't have if you're not making these trades?
Tage, Dahlin, Oposo,
right? Like Dahlin grows into his own, and maybe wondering. This is kind of a wondering what they would have been if Granato was the coach. And maybe they're doing the same style. And, okay, Cousins has a big year, and Tage moves to center, but he's playing second-line center, so he's still a producer. And kind of they all do grow into it under Granato, but the difference is I've got Eichel and Reinhart still at the top. I was thinking a lot about that last night because I'm thinking that's a team that you could still be looking at as a perennial playoff team. If you would have got in that first time probably, if everything else is the same and you have those two at the top.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, probably unrealistic. They had already screwed it up because Reinhart was on a bridge deal. You couldn't keep it together.
Yep.
So, you could have played nice maybe with Eichel and in a different circumstance. Maybe you could have played hardball, but just It doesn't seem tenable, but that was my thought last night that I don't think I've heard said. Like, what would it have looked like if they somehow kept it together a little bit longer?
What am I thinking watching last night? I'm thinking about Reinhart as a 5-time 20-goal scorer going for a first-rounder and a prospect. And that was in part because there's uncertainty about whether or not he would sign wherever you traded him. Right? The offers, let's be real, the offers, there might have been 5 teams making an offer because they thought, we'll re-sign that guy. And other teams would have said, we're not sure if we can. Florida takes the risk, Florida makes the deal, Florida re-signs him. So
remember, he played out that final year of his contract, too, I think.
Yeah.
And then he ended up re-signing.
Did he re-sign during the season?
Good question. I'm not sure about that part of it. Let me look.
I feel like
might have been after.
I was going to say he did not get to unrestricted free agency, though.
No, he didn't get to UFA status. I know that, but it might have been in the summer that they ended up signing him.
Yeah. He has just signed.
No, it was July 1st.
The very first year. It's not the year that he got traded there.
No, he had.
July 1st of what year he signed?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at a different extension. So he's traded there in 2021.
Yep.
And then on August 11th, so before he's played a game for them, he signed a 3-year, $19 million a year deal. I mean, the Panthers kind of did the same thing, didn't they? Like, they didn't sign him to an 8-year deal when he showed up there. They signed him to a 3-year deal.
He took 3.
But that were so good. And he turned into such a good player that I think it was probably pretty easy to sign the extension after.
And 3 was a longer contract than the Sabres ever gave him, other than his entry-level deal. It was 2s and 1s, right? 2s and 1s.
It was never Reinhart. A 3 for the Sabres?
No, I don't think so. I mean, again, he's brutal. He signs with the Panthers for 3 years, plays that out, and then last year signed an 8-year contract. So, like, he's not going anywhere. But that might be one of the reasons if you look back at the trade and think, wow, you got a first-round pick and a prospect, and the prospect was Levi, the 7th-round goaltender who still is not your full-time goalie, and we don't know when he will be or if that happens this year. And then the other guy's Yuri Kulik, who looks like a nice player, and this year is, but it kind of drives home when I was looking at that trade that you should, of course, always be trading first-round picks for real players. Every team in the league should be trading first-round picks for real players, especially if you're good, and it's the 22nd or the 25th pick. Every time. You should trade that for a real player. And the Panthers, they did well in that deal. The point I was starting to make there is how many teams are in on Reinhart? Was it 10? Was it 6 because of that? Can we sign him? And Florida might have been willing to take the risk and then also say, like, what'd you think about 3 years, 19? And says, you know what? Sure, I like it. Why not? I like what we're doing. I also saw yesterday, again, who's winning Twitter? The Sabres interviewed Bill Zito.
Yes.
They interviewed him before
Botterill.
Yeah, because he worked under Jarmo Kekalainen.
Yep.
And I saw the tweet from Pierre LeBrun. It's 2017. Hey, the Sabres have just interviewed Bill Zito. So you could say everything you want about really anything that went wrong. I might just go down to, what if they hired Bill Zito instead of Jason Botterill? I don't know that they're a Stanley Cup champion, but one guy has shown a good way to destroy a franchise, and the other has built one into a back-to-back Stanley Cup champion. Now, he's got some things working for him. You want to talk about, salary, tax, income tax.
Yeah.
You want to talk about palm trees. You can do all that. But the Sabres made a hire at GM, and it was Botterill instead of Zito.
Yeah, but as we pointed out, he's not bringing in talent by spending $10 million in free agency. He's getting Forsling for nothing and Rodriguez for nothing, and he's getting Reinhart for a late first-round pick and a prospect.
Which is basically what a
making
GM
a big
is.
swing for Tkachuk.
That's when you know a GM is good.
Yeah.
When you're doing that. And he knows what he's doing. So, what's...
That could be...
I keep saying what's to be said as we add a few more things here and there, but what's to be said? Are we supposed to, punish ourselves all day today? Maybe.
You're supposed to be mad at them, right? Like,
who is it?
The Sabres.
For how long? How long am I? How long do I have?
You're supposed to be mad at them until they finally turn it around.
Well,
I think they honestly they've earned that. They've earned the fans being angry until it's over.
Yeah, that's probably right. But
maybe that's not healthy, and that's not a good environment. The players certainly. I mean, does Peterka still hold a grudge, or somebody else on the team from being booed down 9-1 to Columbus 2 years ago, which still blows my mind. But it seemed to have happened, right? Tuck talked about it. So not healthy, maybe, but it's what they have earned. I think is you've done something no one else has ever done in a market that cared about the sport a lot. And it's dwindling and dwindling and dwindling every year. Maybe last night is a moment to show, though, that there is still a lot of people that care, that have emotion, that have pent-up anguish because, hell, that guy, a lot of people like that guy. I put a poll up last week. Do you like Sam Reinhart? Just to compare it to how many people would say about Eichel, it was like 95% say they like Reinhart. So, player that everybody likes, that was really good, and he's doing legendary things on another team and winning back-to-back cups.
Yep.
Like, that should make you angry. That it's not happening here. Even, something half as good happening here. I don't even scoring 4 in a cup-clinching game, but he has done it 2 years in a row, by the way, now. I mean, it was the game-winning goal last year, and that I don't think he ended up with the game-winning goal last night because the Oilers scored with like a minute left.
Yeah. Which is proof that, like, clinching goal is kind of dumb.
Yeah.
I have the clinching goal. We're up, 5-0.
Right.
Oh, wait.
The Oilers scored. Now
it's not mine anymore. I did not have the game-winning goal. That is kind of a goofy thing. I mean, I get how it works.
That's right.
Anyway, 8030550. Good morning, everyone. The Panthers win. Back-to-back champs for them. The question to kind of ask there is whether or not the primary thing you feel is anger or indifference.
Mm-hmm. Because it's one of the two. I think it's one of the two for everybody.
Which is what you asked yesterday early in the show. Is like, when did you check out? And I don't feel either of those things. I don't feel. I mean, of course, there's plenty of anger about how things have gone. I definitely don't feel indifference. I just feel like a level of acceptance about, and that's really it. To me, it's accepting how bad things were, and I don't know when things will get better. But I do know that today is the first day towards them getting better. And someday they'll be good again. In theory.
I was going to say.
Someday they'll be good again.
There are some days where I wonder if that's even true. Or if they'll move before they're good.
There's Florida good, and then there's just, like Ottawa good. Mm-hmm. They can be Ottawa good, and it would be our favorite season in 14 years. Probably. So they'll be good again, and someday when they're good again, it'll start today, the day after the Cup final. The draft is in 9 days.
Every time
the draft is in 9 days.